Hey, everybody. I am incredibly short on time, so I'm doing a 20-minute speaking session. So I'm going to go straight through the slides, and then I'm going to be risking it all with a 15-minute live demonstration on the SQL Bits Wi-Fi. So if it all burns and goes to hell, I want everyone to go, oh, that was really good, and no one comment on whatever's on the screen, please. But we are talking about this session is, getting started quickly with database DevOps. So regardless of whether you are a really evolved and you are maturing your DevOps process and you're looking to see where you can go further, whether you have no idea about database DevOps, but you're thinking that's maybe something that you want to go towards, then how can I help? And more importantly, how can we at Redgate help you guys? So my name is Hector Kendall. I am a solution engineer for Redgate. I've spent the last 2 years really sort of traveling the world, coming to these events, going across the globe, speaking to massive enterprises, speaking to really small corporations about where they want to go, what they're trying to do, and the pains that they're having trying to move to some kind of database DevOps. I work for Redgate Software. I'm assuming if you're here, you've probably seen our incredibly large, massive plane in the middle. If you don't know what we do, we sell to 92% now, of the Fortune 100. So we sell to these huge, massive enterprises. We also sell to very small companies. So we are equipped to help you regardless of your size. And, well, what we specialize in is database DevOps. And me particularly, I specialize in automation. So if you don't know Redgate, what you need to know is we have tools that go from end to end. From the very beginning, if you are looking at provisioning environments, whether it's for development, UAT, QA, for Power BI, whether you are looking to then standardize development, have all the best tools in place to give your developers what they need to do to produce the most amount of value, to then automating the release through whether it's CI/CD, having version control in place, to then monitoring the effectiveness of what you've just deployed. And what I want to talk to you today about is automation. Because automation is one of the toughest parts to get right. There are so many contingent factors of how do I want to version control, how are my developers looking to work, how do I want to deploy, what am I doing with those deployments? A million different things can come into this, which can make it really tough, can make it really easy, and without the correct tooling in place, without understanding that process, it's next to impossible to take that chaos of what you've got in dev and actually automate that in an effective way. And when we did our state of database landscape, we asked these questions. How many of you have actually implemented DevOps? And the really important one is, well, 22% have. And we really thought, well, what are the reasons behind that? And you know we need tooling, so we know that that might be a factor. And what you might think might be, well, maybe it's cost. That's the big one I thought. But when we actually looked at the reasons why they hadn't done that, the bulk of it was, well, I don't have the skills in-house. I don't actually know what it is that we're doing. And I certainly don't have the time or experience to worry about or think about not disrupting my existing workflows. I've got PII, I've got money coming into production, I've got a million things reliant on that. I can't mess around with database DevOps if I don't know what I'm doing and start trying to implement that without worrying about breaking my predefined systems. So we know actually, well, what I saw in my 2 years was everybody struggles. If you are an enterprise organization and you are looking to do this, you might have the best people in-house, but you might not have the time or the bandwidth to take this on. Whether you're an agile company and you're brand new, you maybe have all the time in the world, but you certainly don't want to risk it, and you certainly might not have the skills to go into this. So we know that it's really, really tough. So what do we do at Redgate? How can we help you knowing that it's really, really tough, but knowing everyone in this room probably wants to go more down that evolution, wants to become more streamlined? We have Flyway Enterprise. Flyway Enterprise is our end-to-end tool for database DevOps. And we'll aim to give you 3 strong things, the 3 things that in my mind make up the best automated sector. Whether that is version controlling. Do I have all my developments in-house, have my ducks in a row, and do I know exactly what's going on? Can I then go through some kind of continuous integration? Can I generate these scripts, or how am I actually deploying? And then having some kind of repeatable system. So I don't have one poor person every day, every week, having to go through and deploy to 50 databases. Are they going to do it right? Are they going to do it wrong? We aim to give you the ability to standardize, to left shift alongside applicational code. We want to help you increase compliancy and give you that compatibility with existing tech stack. But it doesn't matter how good our tool is. That is tough. That is really, really tough. Getting good version controlling, left shifting alongside applicational deployments, having the right amount of compliancy. We know it's hard. So what have we done at Redgate to bridge that gap. We've got this amazing tool, the best in the market to generate use scripts, orchestrate the releases, and give you what you need. But we know it's still going to be really tough. How are we bridging that gap for you all? I spent the last year and a half building out a new product for Flyway, and we call it Flyway Autopilot. It is absolutely free. Anyone can use it. And what the aim of Flyway Autopilot, if anyone's played a video game, and I think at a DevOps conference, I might be all right with that one, it's like a tutorial level. It's the opposite of how DevOps works. A normal DevOps process is you're chucked in the deep end and say, hey, you need to be able to baseline, you need to be able to do CI/CD, you need to know YAML, you need to be able to left shift. No. We want to give you the chance of, at the very beginning of a video game, of, hey, this is where I want to take you, and these are the steps I can take, and here's how you might do it, and here's what it might look like. And I'm going to give you a safe environment to get you to do that, rather than saying, hey, here's our tool, good luck putting it in. So we have Flyway Autopilot. And when we look at everyone who we know struggles, where it's lack of time, never use CI/CD, whether it's, well, I've got 100 employees that I'm going to have to onboard and scale with that tool, we know regardless of that fact, if you have 30 minutes free, that you will be able to do everything that you need to do to understand where you're going to go, how you might do it, and tweak that sandbox environment to feel super, super comfortable. So it's a 30-minute task, and I've got about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to get straight into doing a demo. So everyone, fingers crossed that the Wi-Fi is going to be really, really good, because they're talking to you. I want to show you how you can go from nothing with no payments, no environment set up, no CI/CD, in 30 minutes, how you can get fully set up. So let me pull up my VM. Can everybody see that? Oh, yeah, perfect. Cool. So I am working on, ignore that, all I am doing, SSMS. I have no databases. I have no CI/CD. I have no project set up. I am an empty database. If you have a version of SSMS, whether it's SQL Express, a dev, a local instance, a container, you can do this. And all you need to do is have a GitHub account. That's it. So I want you to be able to Google Flyway Autopilot. And everything that I'm going to talk to you through today is fully documented through this. If you're not sick of me by the end of this, there's an even longer video of me talking about it for about 30, 40 minutes. But everything inside of here is self-contained. And if you're asking me, well, what about my staff? How are they going to scale? How are they going to onboard? We've crafted this really nice exercise book to teach them every single step that they might need from the very beginning to how they can understand the tool, and more importantly, how they can understand how to use this tool the most effective, compliant way possible. So let's actually do this. All I need to do is click on what I want. We have ones for SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL. We have Octopus Deploy. We have a million flavors of this. So whatever you might want, come and speak to me, and I'm sure we can do something for you. But in my case, I'm going to open this up. And again, I don't want you on Redgate infrastructure, so all you need to do is take this repo and create a new one. We're going to call it SQL bits, well, testing, because that spoiled that a little bit. We're going to make it private, just in case you want to bring in your own schema, you want to create your own environments, and you want to keep it nice and secure. And this is where we keep our fingers crossed for the SQL bits Wi-Fi. There we go. And everything is guided for you. We need a runner. I need an agent to go from GitHub and talk to your databases. And luckily for you, with GitHub, it's incredibly easy. You click Actions, Runners, New Subhosted Runner, and everything that I might need is here, pre-configured for me for your environment. So you copy and paste that code. It's a little bit Blue Peter, but I did run those commands beforehand, so you can see me running those commands. It installs that agent for you. The only other thing that you might need is a license key. And I promise you, you're not going to get sucked in with us for getting a license key. You can download a free trial for Flyway and have that as your license key. There's no interaction with us. If you need an additional time, come and speak to us. We'll happily extend your trials, and you can carry on trialing this piece of tool. But I'm going to supply it with a license key there. So all I need to do then is take that Fly desktop and download it. And it looks, let's get the full URL. Thank you. And I have Flyway desktop, completely empty, nothing in my databases. I open from version control, I pass it this, and we'll call it SQL bits. I hit clone. Everything that you need is non-hard-coded, parameterized for you, and it says to you, hey, I've already got all the files. Can you point me to your main TOML file? And it creates everything for you. I don't need databases. I don't need CI/CD. I don't need to know how YAML works. We're going to guide you through that process. And the first thing it's going to do is say, hey, to you, I can't actually find your databases. It wants to do a straight source control of your databases. Now, luckily for you, regardless of your DBMS, we've already done the hard work. And if this speeds up, we've got a nice little create database widget here that I can run and creates my environments for me. I can execute that, and I have it. Widget dev, test, staging, prod. All made for you guys to use as a sandbox environment. So if I come back to Flyway now, and I hit refresh, it's able to do that source-controlled, state-based comparison of what's in my dev. So if you're thinking, well, how is Flyway going to work? How is it going to find my changes? Well, all I need to do is open up the environment that it just created for me, open up widget dev, and I'm going to do anything. We can maybe make a table. We could use some synonyms. We could do a store procedure. You are developers. You don't need to know the tool. Just develop. Make any change that is relevant and useful to you. So I might make a table, for instance, that's called, and we'll take some first names, last names, and session, and we'll say we'll call it speakers for bits. Cool. I can open up Flyway, and instantly, Flyway has found some changes that we simulated that another developer made on a separate environment. So how can I take those changes and deploy it into my environment? How is a developer going to get good source control? How can we teach them how that works? I select my changes. I see what the developer's made. I click Apply to Database. Flyway then creates those environments for me in my own personal dev. So if me and you, we're separate developers, and you made some changes, you can push them up. I can pull them down and apply them backwards into my database. Same again. How is it going to then find my changes, and potentially, how am I going to now deploy? That's the big bit. That's the big manual task that all you people here are going to hate with a migration-based approaches. Well, great. I can capture my changes, and if we come back now and I refresh that, it's going to find the table that I just created. I can save it to my project. And I could have with Flyway maybe 100 developers making changes. How am I going to write one nice standardized migration script for that? Well, with Flyway, we're going to show you. You click Generate Migrations, and it finds the changes I made, finds the changes that you made, collates them all together, and it presents them to me. So instead of some poor pie having to manually write that migration script, we're going to show you actually it's quite easy, because Flyway is going to show to me all of the changes that I've made that haven't yet got a script determined for them. It's going to show me everything that's been made on development that I haven't been able to deploy to production. And SQL Bits Wi-Fi is potentially slowing me down a little bit here, but hopefully in just a second, it's going to write for me that migration script. How much time do I have? 5 minutes? 6 minutes? I'll take it. It's cool. So we're going to move past this step, and we're going to know that Flyway is going to really handily write for me lots and lots of migration scripts. I can see here all of them. I can target environments, and Flyway is orchestrating those scripts for me. If I make 100 scripts and I've got 500 databases, some might be at version 10, some might be at version 20. With Flyway, it knows for every single database what scripts have been deployed, what scripts have not been deployed. So when I think about deploying, Flyway is handling that all for me. It has for me all the different commands that a DBA might want. Maybe he wants to roll forward. Maybe he wants to roll back. Maybe he wants to cherry pick certain deployments. Maybe he wants to generate reports for them. All of that is guided for them to learn how to use inside their sandbox environment. The last thing that I'm going to deliver to you all is full CI/CD. Full CI/CD for Git Actions, Octopus Deploy, whatever you might want. This is already connected to my repository. So if I made my change and you're all developers, I can see here how I'm going to give my other developers my change. I can write a commit message, and I can push that upwards to my repository. And everything inside of here is pre-configured for you to see and learn how you can do deployments. I can look at the YAML, which is pre-configured for you all to use, and all I have to do is click Run Workflow. And everything that you would want to do in my 2 years, all my colleagues have helped me design this for the perfect enterprise compliant, repeatable deployments, but work with the Flyway project that you guys have in your own infrastructure. So let's click in and let's see what it does. I can see here I'm doing a build and a production and a report creation. If at any point you're doing this and you're not sure what's going on, like I said, we've got this really handy guidebook to teach you what we're doing, teach you the commands, how you might implement that in YAML, how you might tweak that for your own use case, and how that might be useful for yourselves. But instantly, Flyway Enterprise is going to do a build stage. It's going to test. So if me and you, we created a really nice migration script and we pushed it up to version control, we can see here that Flyway is testing not just that new script, but every script that I have. It's going into a sandbox environment that's created. It's deploying all of my migration scripts. It's then rolling back with my rollback scripts. Do I know that version 1 to 5 will deploy? Do I know that I can also roll back from any version? It's then publishing that as a report that I can then see and look back on. Finally, once it passes all those build stages, it moves on to a report creation. How many of you in this room, if you look back at last week's deployment, know exactly what objects were altered? Have you been able to run it against code analysis? Have you been able to see a dry run of what's going to happen for every single database? If you have 500 databases in here, I can generate for you 500 reports that collate into one, telling you that every single database, this is what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen to production. This is what's going to happen to test. I could roll back test to version 1, keep production at 30, and this pipeline is still going to work. It's going to work out what it needs to do for every database, and it's going to do exactly that. So we can then look at what it's doing. It's writing me a report. So before it deploys to production, it's running it against code analysis. It's telling me what's going to happen. It's doing a drift check. If some new tester came in and started making changes on the test environment that you shouldn't have, Flyway is going to tell me exactly where the changes have been made. They shouldn't have been made there. I'm going to be presented with that. Every single aspect that I've ever done for any enterprise organization that they want in terms of automated deployments is nestled inside of this project that I can deliver to you for free, and you can tweak, you can mess around with. If you break it, just fork another one and carry on. This is completely secure. It won't touch any of your production servers. It's completely away from all of that. So you can pass it to a developer if you don't want to do it, pass it to a DBA, let them work together, let them see the value that Flyway can bring for them, and how we can move to a more automated progress. So SQL bits Wi-Fi might finish in the next 2 minutes. It might not finish in the next 2 minutes. But we can see here all the different things we want to do. If you're curious about how Flyway might generate migrations, all I have to do is select the objects that it's found, pick them all, and write generate scripts. So instead of some poor old developer manually writing scripts, missing dependencies, are they doing DDL, are they doing DML? From the second I make my change, this project can capture it, share it with other developers, bring visibility in, write for me migration scripts both forwards and backwards. It can orchestrate the release of that across 500, 1,000, 10,000 databases, instantly write for me that script, and then deploy it across the board however you see fit, whether it's applicational, whether it's just the database, whether it's one by one, transactional, whether it's with branching, whatever you need. Every single part of that process that you need to evolve and learn is nestled inside of here. So if you're super evolved, if you don't know what you're doing, this is the tool you need. Come speak to Redgate, come use this, and see how we can help you and how you might be able to further evolve. So I'm going to stop talking. If you're interested in what I showed you, come to the booth and we can show you a bit more. But thank you very much. Hope you have a good day. Cheers, everybody. Oh, also, any feedback, please give it, because we can give some money to charity if you do. Thank you, everybody. Cheers.